So I found out the other day that May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's awareness of all these different things that we may not think about mental health, but it's like depression, anxiety, OCD, alcoholism, these different things that are mental illnesses, right? Diseases that we can encounter. And I got to thinking about something that may not seem connected, but they really are, and I'll explain a little bit later. But it got me thinking about bed bugs. See, bed bugs, we got them once. And I don't know how we got them. Apparently, according to the exterminator, you can get them from riding on buses or going to hotel rooms or going to people's houses that have them. And then they get in the hems of your sweater or your jacket or something like that. And then you come home unknowingly, bring them back into your house. And then by the time you know they're there, they have spread and they've sort of become a nuisance and they've started to do things, and you're like, what are these things in my bed? And now they spread to your couch and to your carpets and all sorts of other things, and it gets out of hand and crazy. And then you have to call in an exterminator, someone to get rid of them, because you can do all those things that you think you can do. You can go to the Walmart, get the pesticides, get the different things, and you could just do it up. But trust me, until the exterminator come, they weren't. All those things were just like snake oil. They didn't work. Bed bugs are a lot like heart wounds. Let me tell you that again. Heart wounds are a lot like bed bugs. It starts with something small, something that seemingly is insignificant, something that you're just like, this is a moment in life that happened, and you don't give it much notice at the time it happened, and you try to bury it deep down, and something happens, right? And at the time you may even shrug it off. No big deal. But it shows itself away, stows itself in the crevice of your jacket, and then it makes its way into your heart and to the crevices of your heart, and hides in the cracks. It multiplies, infests the entire heart, destroys the entire body system, and you start going crazy, and you don't know why, and you don't know what happened. And you become all too aware of it at a certain point, and you start wondering, oh, how do I get rid of this? How do I fix it? How do I do this? But you don't want to tell people about it because, hey, this is embarrassing. Just like bed bugs. You don't want to tell people about bed bugs. So you don't go announce, hey, guys, I have bed bugs. I didn't. I can tell you now because they're gone. It's in the past. It's in the history. It was like 5-6 years ago. I can tell you now. But just like bed bugs, you don't talk about these things that are actually hurting on the inside. You just internalize them, and you don't want to talk about them because they're quite embarrassing, and you don't think people understand, or you think they'll judge you, or you think that maybe you'll lose position in life. You start to realize over time that you and all the things that you've been trying aren't working. And you necessarily need an exterminator. You necessarily need a healer. Let me tell you a little story. It's from the Bible, John 5, 1-5. And it's about a man who needed a healer. Now, he didn't necessarily have a heart wound. He didn't necessarily have this going on, but I tell you, he kind of did. He had a physical wound. He was crippled. And eventually he needed a healer, and he became aware of it. And so we get this story, John 5, 1-5, and it says this: Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, in which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie: the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. Ooh, okay, here we go. We're at this pool that they believe that if you went to this pool and the angels stirred up the waters and you were the first person to get in the waters, you'd be healed of your wounds. So here we are, this invalid, and he's put at the edge of the water every day for 38 years. 38 years is a really long time. I am 40 now. That's an entire lifetime. 38 years this man is put at the water's edge by his friends, because they sort of believed, and I think at the beginning maybe he believed, yeah, I might get into the water. Like, I've tried everything else, let me try to get in the water. Like, I think he thought that at the beginning, but 38 years have gone by. At this point, they're putting him at the water's edge, and he's just kicking it, watching water. He didn't actually believe he's going to get healed. At this point, he's given up. Really, 38 years. Like, you're not even trying. If you can't even get in there for 38 years, something's going on there. And when Jesus saw him, verse 6, lying there, and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him this very important question. It's a very interesting question, too. He asked him, do you want to get well? Imagine sitting there for 38 years at the water's edge, hoping, wondering if it'll ever happen, and someone comes along and they look at you and say, well, do you even want to get well? And here he is, the man, the invalid. He says, sir, I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down there ahead of me. So here he is, Jesus. He doesn't know who Jesus is, by the way. And Jesus, he's just wandering around, sees the guy, hears about him. Okay, cool, let me go talk to him. And he asks that question, do you want to get well? And this guy makes excuses. Well, I can't because of this, and I can't because of that. This sounds familiar. We have all these excuses of why we can't talk about the things that are embarrassing, that we can't get well, that we just don't want to let these things go. We have all these excuses. Well, you don't understand. If I told people this, they would think of me differently. If I told people, oh man, as if no one's like us. Jesus said to him, just very frankly, he said, get up, pick up your mat, and walk. And at once the man was cured. And he picked up his mat and he walked. Now listen, every single time that I can think of where Jesus heals someone, it says, you get up and do something. You have to respond. Take your hand out of your jacket. And, oh, now you're not a leper, right? You have to take his hand out of his jacket. The guy that was dropped through the ceiling, you told him the same thing. Get up, pick your mat, and walk, right? Jesus wants you to respond to the healing. So it's not like I'm praying, and God's not doing anything. Well, what are you doing? Have you got up? Have you picked up your mat? Are you walking? Because often God's will happens while we're walking. Get up, pick your mat up, and walk. So Jesus, that question, do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? You'd been there for 38 years. Every day he went there. Jesus shows up. This man doesn't recognize him, doesn't know him. Jesus went to him. Jesus asked the bizarre question, do you want to get well? And the man was healed and sent back into society. And so the question I have for you is the same question that Jesus asked. Do you want to get well? A lot of us are dealing with things. A lot of us have a lot on our plate. We've piled it on. We have not handled it well. There's a lot going on in our lives. We just don't talk about it. We internalize it. We don't say it out loud. We don't own it. We overlook it. We look past it. Some of us, things have happened in our lives and we've just sort of buried them deep down inside because we think they're buried, but they're like that bed bug and it's just infesting and growing. Some of you are doing fine, great. I don't know. Only you and God know that. The same question that Jesus asked this man is the question I'm asking you. Do you want to get well? It's a simple question, complicated answer, really. Because once you say, yeah, I want to get well, and you mean it, then you have to get up, pick up your mat and go. Do the things necessary to get well. Which might mean counseling. It might mean talking to your pastor, telling him, I'm going through all of this. We'll pray for you, we'll listen to you, yeah. But you might have to get medical help as well. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And Jesus is right there, empowering us with His Holy Spirit to do what is necessary to live a life that is fully whole. And so the question remains, do you want to get well?